The first reading is an excerpt from America the Beautiful, the stirring story behind our nation's favorite song by Lynn Sher. But first, a little background. And Catherine Lee Bates, the author of the poem that became the beloved song, was an extraordinary woman. She was born August 12th, 1859, in Falmouth, Massachusetts, on the brink of the American Civil War. Well educated, she attended Wellesley College and went on to teach high school English, study further at Oxford University, serve as a correspondent for the New York Times, contribute to numerous prestigious periodicals, and achieve professor level at Wellesley College. Bates was an activist, an advocate for peace, and following World War I, she campaigned for establishment of the League of Nations, predecessor to the United Nations. She never married and is known to have had a long relationship with fellow author and academician Catherine Coleman. She loved to travel, which was always challenging in her day. In addition to Great Britain, her travels took her to Egypt and the Holy Land and the American West. In the summer of 1893, while teaching at Colorado College in Colorado Springs, she journeyed with a group of professors in a horse-drawn wagon emblazoned with the pioneers' slogan, "Pikes Peak or Bust." As they reached, I read from the book now, as they reached the Gate of Heaven's summit, nearly 3 miles high, in the clear crystal air, above the clouds and beneath radiant blue heavens, Catherine fell silent. But for Catherine Lee Bates, her one ecstatic gaze at the panoramic view across the vast continent was a revelation. To the east, the golden sweep of plains across America's heartland. To the west, the regal mountains that outlined the pioneer's dreams. All the images and impressions she had been collecting on her journey coalesced in the infinite horizons before her. America's possibilities were limitless. That night, when she returned to the Antlers Hotel, she wrote in her diary, quote, "Most glorious scenery I ever beheld." More significantly, she opened her notebook and jotted down some verses that had come to her on the spot. "Oh, beautiful for," and you know the rest. Today, we are discussing the song America the Beautiful in the context of a very current, very controversial events, which have led some in this congregation to question just how beautiful America is at this moment. Some of you may recall that in recognition of Memorial Day, as part of our May 25th service, we sang America the Beautiful. And at least one of us found it very upsetting. And there's a beautiful picture of the song, an antique version of it there. At least one of us found it very upsetting, feeling deeply conflicted between their patriotic love of country and their dismay given current events. Remembering that Catherine Bates wrote the original poem in 1893, and at that time in U.S. history, Grover Cleveland was beginning his second non-consecutive term as president. Up until our current president, Cleveland was the only U.S. president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. The U.S. economy was in a very bad depression, bank failures, unemployment soaring, homelessness, and labor unrest. A number of our great national parks had recently been established, Yellowstone, Sequoia, Yosemite, Kings Canyon among them. The famous Chicago World's Fair, also known as the World's Columbian Exposition, was underway. Frank Lloyd Wright was just beginning his career. Emily Dickinson's work was posthumously gaining popularity, and Walt Whitman had just died. Ragtime was emerging as a popular music form. While Southern states were rapidly enacting Jim Crow laws, poll taxes, literacy tests, and the Supreme Court had gutted civil rights established during Reconstruction. And finally, we must not forget the composer of the song, America the Beautiful, Samuel Augustus Ward, a Victorian gentleman who served as the organist at Grace Episcopal Church in Newark, New Jersey. Now, to bring us to the present, there are so many things happening in our nation at this moment that concern us deeply as citizens and as UUs. Just one example. Here's a letter from the House Committee on Homeland Security stating that the committee is, quote, conducting oversight of the potential use of federal resources to facilitate illegal immigration, end quote. This letter was distributed to numerous non-governmental organizations, NGOs, including the Unitarian Universalist Association, the national organization representing UU congregations across the nation. And here's the UUA's response. The Foley in the upper letterhead is the name of the law firm representing the UUA in this matter. I've highlighted a section of the UUA letter, and now I'll read it to you. To answer your question, to the UUA's knowledge, after reasonable review, the UUA did not receive any grant, contract, or other form of disbursements from the federal government in the time period. While the stated purpose of the letter relates to the purported use of federal resources, certain aspects of the letter and survey appear to target the UUA and its members' fundamental rights to exercise their religious practices protected under the First Amendment to the Constitution and the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. As a religious organization freely exercising its long-standing faith and beliefs within its rights, the UUA serves its religious communities and extends its ministry in keeping with fundamental UU religious values for justice, compassion, and freedom. Furthermore, the UUA objects to any use of the letter, including the linked survey, to intimidate or interfere with constitutionally protected rights of free speech and free exercise of religious practices. So, we're in the battle, right here, right now. Before we begin our circle conversation, allowing you to share your thoughts, I wanted you to know that Catherine Bates revised the song lyrics at least twice, perhaps under pressure to do so. No proof of that, but we wonder. Here are 3 versions, and I've highlighted a few phrases which stood out to me as the song transitioned. One is in the original version from 1893, "Till selfish gain no longer stain the banner of the free." I like that. And then there's also, though, "Till nobler men keep once again thy whiter jubilee." What's that about? And then finally, the last one I'll bring out, and I can share this later if you care. "America, America, God mend thine every flaw, confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law." As a Unitarian Universalist, how do you balance your love of country and your patriotism with a period such as the present, in which events seem to be moving in opposition to what we believe in?